Coming up in the Bahamas tonight, the largest upgrade to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force in history announced, the F&M and DNA back on the campaign trail last night, and a community walkabout by the Prime Minister over the hill becomes confrontational. Stay close. The Bahamas Tonight starts right now.
Covering the islands of the Bahamas, ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight.
This portion of the news is brought to you by McDonald's. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
It's great to have you with us for the Bahamas Tonight, the National Report. I'm Clint Watson reporting tonight. The largest investment and upgrade to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force ever announced last night by Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham at the Free National Movement's rally in North Eleuthera. The Prime Minister, in continuing his message of national development and individual opportunities, outlined a 5-year plan to further guard our borders while protecting our precious resources.
It's heralded as the largest investment to the Royal Bahamas Defense Force. More than $100 million will be spent to increase protection of our precious marine resources, which includes completion of a satellite base in Ragged Island to deter poachers from the country's richest fishing grounds, the Great Bahama Bank. Also in Aguas Harbor will be dredged to accommodate larger vessels, and a Defense Force presence will also be established in Grand Bahama, Abaco, and Exuma. Coral Harbor will be deepened to 15 feet and the dock reconfigured to accommodate an expanded Defense Force fleet, the first boat to be delivered next year.
We'll maintain a continuous presence at strategic choke points throughout the length and breadth of our island chain in order to combat poaching, as well as gun, drug, and human trafficking. These bases are intended to act as a deterrent and enhance our capacity to apprehend those who seek to violate our laws and diminish our prospects for peace and prosperity. We will buy for the Defense Force, have built for the Defense Force, an additional 11 vessels.
The vessels, which total $120 million, will be complemented by 2 additional patrol aircraft for a total of 4 planes. The Prime Minister outlined plans to add 235 Marines during a next term, as well as the introduction of a new Defense Force Reserve, which will comprise of 180 reservists.
We have engaged the government of the Dominican Republic on the matter of their nationals poaching resources from our territorial waters. We've agreed that substantive discussions will take place following both our elections. I can advise you, though, that my government has taken a decision that any vessel detained for poaching in our waters and the captain is convicted, that the vessel will not only be confiscated, the vessel will also be destroyed. I also want to tell you that we're going to create a new Customs and Border Control agencies to better coordinate our national security efforts in the areas of immigration and customs.
Mr. Ingham chided the PLP for neglecting the Defense Force. He says while Mr. Christie chants that he is ready to govern on day one, his record says otherwise, as it took 4 years for him to appoint a Commodore of the Defense Force under his watch.
Perry Christie in office purchased not a single new vessel for Defense Force. Perry Christie talks about national security. He just never did anything about securing our national security on the seas. And the fishermen, let me say, the PLP ain't serious about you.
The Prime Minister says because the F&M is a party that delivers, you can trust them to modernize and strengthen our Defense Force. He commended the force for its dedication and faithful service with limited resources.
Well, the government's anti-crime strategy getting another boost today with the launch of an initiative designed to change inmates at Her Majesty's prisons. Carla Palmer reports on the new program aimed at behavioral change in inmates, many of whom are incarcerated for illegal drug use, possession, and trafficking.
With 27% of the prison population incarcerated on drug convictions and 80% of new inmates having drugs in their system, the prison Thursday launched Challenge, a drug therapy program. Minister of National Security Tommy Turnquest says the government is focused on implementing genuine prison reform, and Challenge is a chief component of the government's anti-crime strategy plan.
No longer could we be content with just warehousing inmates and operating a revolving door. Our mandate was clear: to ensure the operation of a safe, secure facility that is characterized by discipline and orderliness, and one in which compassion and opportunity signal the way forward.
Touting the program as a tested and proven success, tailored after an international prison system out of North America, Unit Coordinator of the Pre-Release Services and Case Management at the prison, Sergeant Sophie Alseem, is responsible for its design. The interactive program, she says, is practical and realistic in its outcome.
The Challenge program is a positive environment where inmates who have substance abuse issues learn to work and live together to better their lives. The program focuses on practical skills based on common sense beliefs.
I'm so glad I crossed over the line, yes. I'm so glad I crossed over in time.
This inmate, Felix Hyler, admits to battling cocaine addiction for as long as he can remember.
To be in a positive drug and free environment with peers that will encourage me rather than hinder me, in my view, will increase my chances of success.
This drug program follows on the heels of another program recently launched to further uplift inmates. The Auto Skills Literacy and Numeracy program allows inmates to learn basic reading and math skills at their own pace. The 12-month program will be carried out in 3 stages. Carla Palmer, ZNS News.
Prison officers, however, use the launch of the new drug program as an ideal opportunity to voice a myriad of concerns. With 358 officers, many working the morning shift, demonstrated their frustration over delayed promotions and working conditions. President of the Bahamas Prison Officers Association, Corporal Gregory Archer, says they deserve better treatment, and until their concerns are addressed, he says they will work according to the rules.
Well, with these concerns, we have met with our superintendent over and over, and these meetings are just repetitious, and we are now taking a stand, and we need these concerns to be addressed. The prison officers was told by the minister that our promotions would be in 2 weeks. Today makes the end of that 2 weeks. The minister has called me and said that he is anticipating it will be another week, but you already gave your word in 2 weeks. And now I have to tell these officers, you have to wait for another week. We already work hard, and what is due to us, we are wait.
The Minister of National Security, Tommy Turnquist, acknowledged the role of prison officers as essential to the security of the country and commended the officers for a job well done. Still, he expressed disappointment in their action, especially since he says there was recent dialogue on the issues.
I spoke to Corporal Gregory Archer, the president of the Prison Staff Association, and indicated to him that prison promotions that had been suspended as a result of the global economic recession in 2008 were now being processed by the Department of Public Service. I further indicated to him yesterday that the first wave of promotions back in 2008-2009 had been completed by the Department of Public Service, but that I did not propose to release any promotions until they were all done to avoid any conflict. Expected to take place sometime on Friday or next week.
Well, it was a packed court today for the opening of the striking customs and immigration officers whose case was referred to the Industrial Tribunal. The panel was expected to begin hearing evidence on the witnesses, but the matter did not proceed as scheduled. Fern Carey has the details.
From the outset, the Industrial Tribunal panel stressed they only had the jurisdiction to hear the 14 items in the trade dispute referred to the tribunal by Labour Minister Dion Fowkes last week. Those items include, among other things, suspension pending investigation, shift premium, and overtime. But the court's decision to limit the arguments to the items in the dispute did not sit well with attorney for the Customs, Immigration and Allied Workers Union, Obi Ferguson. He indicated that other outstanding items of concern, including overtime and general orders, had not been included in the documents sent to the tribunal. Ferguson also said Prime Minister Hubert Ingraham agreed during a meeting to pay overtime dating back to 2010, noting that the minutes of that meeting should have been presented to the court. But Crown Counsel David Higgins stressed that the union had agreed to all of the items in the trade dispute. noting that the talks broke down when the union decided to introduce new items. However, Ferguson stressed that a major item of dispute was the way employee overtime was calculated. He indicated that the union did not agree for workers to be paid less, as it is not in accordance with the Employment Act. After hearing from both sides, the tribunal adjourned at 11 a.m., resuming half an hour later with an unexpected decision. The panel decided to refer the matter back to the Labor Minister for further discussion, and also advised the union to file a new dispute with regard to its other concerns for resolution. The tribunal's ruling did not sit well with Ferguson, who questioned how the panel came to its conclusion without giving the union an opportunity to present its case. He asked the court to reconsider, noting that the union did not agree to the 14 items in the trade dispute. Higgins also suggested both sides present arguments at a later date and informed the tribunal that senior members of the Customs and Immigration Department, including Immigration Director Jack Thompson, Charles Turner, Secretary and Assistant Secretary of Labor, will be as witnesses. The union is also expected to call 4 witnesses. In the end, the court adjourned the matter to May 3rd and 4th. At that time, both sides will present their arguments for a decision. Perrin Carey, ZNS News.
Well, city market employees and their union representatives met at the Labor Department this morning in an attempt to work out issues regarding employee severance packages and the continued employment of staff. Earlier this month, the food store chain owned by the Finlayson family closed its doors. City Market is set to be purchased by SuperValue President Reuben Roberts. Union executives spoke with our news team after the meeting with labor officials today. Here's Janaea Noel Ferguson with that.
Hoping to gain some answers on their employment status, as well as severance packages and back wages, executives of the City Market Employees Union, joined by the National Congress of Trade Union officials, met with labor officials on the pending issues surrounding some 400 City Market employees. NCTU General Secretary Robert Ferguson on the meeting's outcome.
The representative of City Market assured us that he was going to be able to come here this morning and give us an update on the present negotiations. He was of the view at that time that the negotiations more than likely would have been completed, and the company would be in a much better position to advise us as to the rights of employees on their severance packages. And speaking to that person this morning, we were advised that the company had no new information, and as a result, the company representative did not show up here.
Employees also took issue with comments attributed to City Market owner Mark Finlayson appearing in a local daily, stating that employees taken on by new owners SuperValue would not receive severance packages. But in a surprising turn of events, union officials received news that this is not the case.
We were advised that indeed Justice Longy had made a ruling, and Justice Longy's ruling, his verbal ruling was that indeed the employees of City Market are entitled to severance payments, and those payments should come out of the sale of any sale to SuperValue. That ruling by Justice Longy now is the statute law in this country. It's the law in this country now.
But the employees' financial uncertainty persists. Their pension funds remains an unresolved issue, which according to the former Chief Inventory Control Auditor at City Market, Winslow Turnquest, could lead to a lengthy legal battle.
As a wholesale in 206 created a scenario, and the lawyers are now looking at how we should file a writ in Jacksonville and in New York to deal with the pension matters, if the matter isn't resolved within the next couple of days.
City Market employees say the issue of severance packages and hiring by SuperValue are two different issues and should be dealt with accordingly. Janaea Noel Ferguson, ZNS News.
And still to come, it made headlines all day. That over the Hill walkabout turning into confrontation with the government and opposition. We've got the story when your news leader comes right back.